Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Now, as you all know by now, I do enjoy busting a few myths on this show. And for example, a few years ago, if you used a VPN, a virtual private network, which pretty much allows you to push a button and disguise the exact location that you're doing your browsing, you were deemed a shady character with something to hide. Or maybe you were just trying to access a better Netflix store. You know, for example, over here in the UK, a lot of people like to disguise their internet connection that they were actually in the US from a virtual private network, and that gave them access to the US store of Netflix, which had much more up-to-date and better quality entertainment. But of course, since then, Netflix have got wise to that and shut down access from VPNs. But since Ed Snowden revealed a few home truths of how we're all being tracked online, and stories such as the Cambridge Analytica scandal and their relationship with Facebook, or the fact that in the US there was a possibility that ISPs could soon start selling your personal browsing history, online users are now taking protecting their privacy much, much more seriously. So for many of you listening, a VPN is a no-brainer as it disguises your location and your browsing data. But governments and security agencies, they will say that it's bad and it makes their life catching the bad guys harder. But if we are the good guys, why are we having our personal data abused? What should we do? It's an incredibly complex argument, but make no mistake, VPNs are here to stay. So I invited Pete Zaborszky, owner of BestVPN.com, onto the show today, who are arguably the biggest VPN review site on the internet, and I want him to share his story and how BestVPN are enabling users to protect their online experiences. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to the UK so we can speak with Pete Zaborszky, owner of BestVPN. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So I'm Peter Zaborszky and I'm the founder of BestVPN.com. And for the past 5 years, we've written thousands and thousands of articles all about VPNs and also around privacy, online security, all of those kind of topics. And fundamentally, we compare VPN services, but we try and help our users get as much on top of internet security as they can.
So BestVPN.com is arguably the biggest VPN review site on the whole internet. But can you just tell the listeners a little bit more about what makes you guys unique and what it is that's making you stand out from the crowd in that field?
Yeah, so I think we started out as probably, I wouldn't say the very first comparison website, but definitely one of the first ones. And when I founded the business, I saw some other comparison sites, but they weren't doing a very good job of it. And I thought, yeah, I can do a much, much better job of comparing VPNs. And from there, it kind of snowballed into the fact that we've always been like a front runner in how we're comparing VPNs, the quality of the articles, the quality of the reviews, how informed our writers are. And mostly what we found is other VPN sites have always been kind of copying what we've been doing, whether that's design or the content that we do. And then recently, as the market's definitely getting more and more competitive and there's more and more people comparing VPNs, we try to stay ahead with actual technological advantages. So, for example, our speed testing technology, I think, is something that we've been doing for the past 6 months now, at least, and no one's replicated. And it's one of the big things that people care about with VPNs is speed. And I think most sites don't do a very good job of comparing speed. So we've done like a really, really scientific method of comparing how quick a VPN is and how well it works. So we've always tried to stay ahead of the curve, be the one who's innovating, be the one who's doing the best job of comparing. So I think that's mostly why we've managed to be the number one review site for VPNs.
Now, I believe that BestVPNs.com model is actually based on affiliate earnings by ranking VPN providers. So when a user actually arrives on the site, they're actually looking for information on which VPN to choose. And if they click a link and buy a VPN, that earns the site money. But can you tell me more about the website's mission to actually educate people on the internet and essentially help them stay safe online?
So my philosophy was always that we really want to be an authority on, as I said, privacy, internet security, that whole area, and it was never just about VPNs. And if you go back through, articles from 5 years ago, we were already writing about not just VPNs, but this general topic. And it was funny. About 6 months after I launched the site, that's when Edward Snowden came out with all his revelations about the NSA. And I think since then, privacy has become this something that's in the collective consciousness. Let's say a lot more. People are a lot more aware of all their data being recorded somewhere, everything they do online being recorded. That's been really, really good for us, because it's the topic that we've always been concerned about. And as I've always been quite libertarian in my thinking, and it's been really nice alignment that at least in this area, in the online privacy and security area, I'm definitely helping individuals empower themselves and be able to control as much as they can as individuals. And I think that's probably the most important mission, is that we can help individuals protect themselves from big government, big business, whatever you want to protect yourself from, just so you have a choice. And I think that having that choice is always what I've been interested in, is giving people that choice.
I'm glad you said a few moments ago there that it's not just VPNs, because there is much, much more to you than that. So, and indeed your story. So can you tell me more about your entrepreneurial journey, and what are the ventures that you've been on, and what sparked your interest in getting into VPNs in the first place?
So, as I said, I think one of the reasons why this has worked so well is because it's really aligned with kind of my personal values as well, me being quite libertarian and about, I really want people to have a personal choice in things and be able to do what they want within limits, of course, but to be as free as possible. And I've tried lots and lots of ventures before BestVPN.com, but it never. I did have some fairly successful ventures in online games, so like text-based multiplayer games. But I think it was never really, really aligned with my own values, and that's probably why I didn't pursue them for long enough, or I didn't pursue them hard enough. So the nice thing about BestVPN.com was that it's really, really aligned to what I want to do, and also that I could do it well, and that resulted in a really good venture, which we've been doing for the past 5 or 6 years now. But I mean, back in uni, I had a job for 3 months where it was with an online publishing business, and I thought, God, I never want to have a boss again, and I want to have my own business. And so I tried making lawyer comparison websites. As I said, I had the games where I was making online text-based games, also some financial advising as well. So sort of trying lots and lots of things, and then eventually VPNs kind of took off. And I mean, those are just the big ones. I tried probably 30 or 40 different ventures altogether.
And anybody listening to us talk now that are actually visiting bestvpn.com whilst we're talking, they'll notice straight away that you don't just compare VPNs. And for example, I went on last night, and instantly you can see that you share tips on a plethora of relevant topics in your guides and news sections. For example, data breaches, Wi-Fi security, blockchain, Bitcoin, etc. But what previous experience do bestvpn.com writers have in that industry that distinguishes them as reliable experts?
So I'd say the biggest one is probably time. Just the fact that we've been following this entire area for the past 5 or 6 years, and we've still got writers working at BestVPN who've been there pretty much from the beginning. So we've always been looking at this topic, always looking at the developments. I don't think it's something that you can really learn at university, because it changes so quickly. It's not like at uni they teach you, use a VPN, use an ad block, use an anti-tracking tool, that kind of thing. You really need to research it yourself, and you need to learn about the entire topic yourself. So we have new writers who are taught by the older writers, and myself as well, because I'd say my technical knowledge on this is very, very high by now as well. I think it's about having the knowledge built up over 5 years, and also passing that on to any new writers who come on board.
So as someone that lives and breathes this space, what are some of the common misconceptions that consumers have about VPNs, especially around online privacy as a whole too?
Let's say first of all, the negative side. So some comparison sites maybe, or just generally in the public domain, VPNs are portrayed as maybe like a solution for everything. And I think that's definitely something that we don't encourage on BestVPN.com, because it's clear that, you know, VPN protects you against certain things and certain situations, but if you're looking for all-round protection, it's always about measuring the kind of the threat level that you want to be prepared for, because a VPN is really, really good from hiding things from your ISP. It's good for encryption over Wi-Fi, so that at, you know, internet cafe you don't get hacked. But let's say if you're concerned about Facebook and Google storing your data, that's a completely separate issue, which you need to handle separately, but they are quite linked. So we try and tell people that this is what a VPN is good for, but if you want to protect yourself in these instances, then you should use these tools as well. But I'd say for your average person, using a VPN and some sort of anti-tracking or ad block protects you for I think everything that you do, that yeah, from being in an internet cafe, from not wanting Google to know absolutely everything about you. So those are the two crucial tools I'd say you really, really need. And then on the sort of positive side, I think there's definitely this misconception about VPN that, you know, it's a gray area, it's illegal, it seems dodgy, and that everyone should really use a VPN, because you never really know how your internet connection is compromised, whether that's in a cafe, which is extremely high risk. But even at home, I've seen some really interesting studies where people have gone into the cable connection box in a house, and they've been able to compromise the internet of someone in the house. So there's all sorts of ways that you just need to take the precautions. And a VPN is absolutely perfect for that, because it encrypts everything you do between yourself and a server that the VPN company owns. So I'd say those are two good examples of misconceptions that exist.
So for many people listening, one of the things that they care about most with regards to VPNs is speed, of course. So how are you testing and measuring the speed of VPNs in your comparisons? And what else goes into your research and analysis when comparing all those VPNs and those different solutions there? So
one of the frustrations we've always had is the way people have tested VPNs in the past for speed has been they go to a website which tests your internet connection, then they connect to a VPN, then they check it before, but check it after, and see if the speed changes. Now that's not a very scientific way of testing speeds, because it can be affected by your internet connection. You know, if you're using Wi-Fi and let's say you turn the microwave on, it might affect your speed. It's just not very, very reliable, and we used to do this in the past, but I was never really satisfied with it. It's not like a perfect way to test speed. So about 6 months ago, we built a solution where we've got servers worldwide, which every 8 hours they test they test VPNs across the world. They test the VPNs locally, they test the VPNs across continents, and then from that they produce an average speed reading. And because it's all on wired connections, you don't have issues around your Wi-Fi being dodgy, and because we're doing it every 8 hours, averaging it out, you have a fairly scientific way that you can measure the speed of VPNs, and it's been really, really good, because we can consistently see that certain VPNs are performing really well. So those are clearly doing something right, and they definitely got fast speeds. And yeah, I think it's a much better way of testing than there's been done previously, and some people still do elsewhere. So I think the more scientific you can be in your testing, the better. And if we kind of move away from speed, there's obviously some other aspects to comparing VPNs, and on that as well, we're working to become as scientific as possible. So things like security audits, we're looking really closely and developing a method to test VPNs, about how secure the software is, and trying to do that as scientifically as possible. So it's always about how well can you replicate the test, how repeatable is it, how often do you do it, and that can give you really, really good results. Like you said a few moments ago, a few years ago, a lot of people thought that anyone using a VPN was either a bit of a shady character that got something to hide, or it was even illegal. But now I think that has completely been changed, and everyone's aware of their privacy online. And for example, I'm using the Brave browser at the moment, which reveals every day the thousands of trackers that are following me on every website I visit, thankfully, are being blocked. So who are your current audience, though? Has that changed over the years? And what's your site traffic like? And what does that
future hold for BestVPN in the future, do you think?
Yeah, there's definitely been a lot of shifts over the last 5 or 6 years. I think the hype around unblocking certain bits of that was like a huge thing. And then obviously a lot of people were using VPNs before to watch Netflix from different countries. That's becoming smaller and smaller, that market, as Netflix is not very comfortable with people using VPNs, and they've been blocking them. I think, as I said, sort of with Edward Snowden coming along and just privacy being a lot more in the mainstream press, and people are a lot more aware of the fact that, you know, all their data is being recorded, everything you do online is being recorded. And to give you like a really good example of that, so there was a piece of legislation last year in the US that your ISPs could start to sell your browsing data. So a VPN protects you from that 100%. And it's things like this that it seems like, unfortunately, and personally, I think this is a bad thing. For my business, it's quite good, but I'd prefer it if it wasn't happening. But the internet seems like it's becoming more and more of a place where you need to protect your privacy, and more of your data is being sold. You're being exploited as much as possible. And I think that wasn't the original vision of the internet, but unfortunately that's the way things are going. And VPN is something that puts a layer of protection above that. And for a lot of the issues that we're experiencing now, a VPN starts to protect you. And let's say it starts taking you back to that original concept of the internet, that it was something for individuals and something where you could be fairly private.
And it is incredibly easy to get up and running. But if there is anyone listening and want to learn more about VPNs and the best options available to them, can you just remind them where they can find you online, and also contact a member of your team if they have any questions about what we've talked about today?
Yeah, I think the best thing is to visit BestVPN.com, and there's a contact us form there that you can contact us on. And me personally, if you have any questions, then maybe LinkedIn is best. You can find me on there, Peter Zaborszky.
Excellent. Well, I'll have those links to the show notes just so people can find you nice and easily. And like we were saying a few moments ago, I think the most important thing here is, especially around Facebook and how the problems they're having with data at the moment, and the trust that they're losing from their users, and losing 120 billion off their share price in just 24
that was
hours.
Crazy yesterday.
It really is. It also highlights the importance of privacy now, and how people are looking at the world differently and how they behave online. So VPNs are so important. So a big thank you for coming on today and telling your story. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the questions.
I think more and more people are taking protecting their privacy and protecting their personal data very seriously now. And if they're not, maybe they should be. Because I think it's so important, especially when we can see what billion-dollar companies are trying to do with our data. And VPNs are often used by smart techies or smart users who are just protecting themselves and shouldn't be demonised in the media as being shady characters. How did we get to a place where, if you do not allow large corporations and governments to see everything that you're doing in the comfort of your home, then you're the bad guy? How did that happen? But hey, what are your opinions on the topics we've discussed today? There are so many sides to this complex argument, and I do understand that. And I want to hear your thoughts, your opinions, and also your solutions and how you think we could better handle this situation. And you can do that by emailing me at techblogwriter@outlook.com, or of course tweet me at Neil C. Hughes. I will answer all your messages and I will read them out on future episodes. And I'm really curious on your thoughts on this one. But I'm afraid we're out of time yet again. Where does the time go? We've got so many great guests this week, especially if you're passionate about the crypto and blockchain space. We have the guys at Neo and the guys at Lisk coming on this week. So if you are passionate about cryptos, make sure that you tune in. But before we get to those future episodes, I want to thank you for tuning in here right now and today. And I hope you'll join me again tomorrow. But until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.